You're listening to a podcast from the South China Morning Post.
What if I told you that Hong Kong, famous for its urban skyline and dense city population, is home to one of the world's toughest ultramarathons? Welcome to a special edition of the Adventure Trail podcast. I'm Mark Agnew. For those of us who live here, we know of the iconic MacLehose Trail, the Wilson Trail, the Hong Kong and the Lantau trails. For many, completing all the different sections one by one is a long-term goal. For some, the goal is more ambitious. Each Lunar New Year, for the last 10 years, a small group of runners have sought to complete all 4 trails non-stop with no support or checkpoints. Today, we're joined by one of those crazy runners who's been there, done that and got the t-shirt, and this year, he's back for more. But first, let me explain the enormity of the challenge. The total distance is 298 kilometers. That's about 2.5 times as long as Hadrian's Wall, the ancient defense that stretches across England. It's about 3.5 times as long as the Panama Canal. It's about as wide as Scotland at its widest point. But that's not all. The runners also have to go up and over some of Hong Kong's tallest peaks. In the first 40 kilometers, they climb Tai Mo Shan, Hong Kong's highest mountain. And that's just the beginning. In total, they climb 14,500 meters. That's Everest from sea level 1 2/3 times. Like some cruel joke, the final stretch goes over the near 1,000-meter high Lantau Peak and then the 800 and something high Sunset Peak before the final descent down into Moi Wo, where they kiss a nondescript postbox to mark their triumph. Throw in the fact they have to carry their own food or water or buy and top it up on the way without any outside assistance, and you have yourself a challenge, although they are allowed help travelling between the trails and can stock up in the car. The distance is hard enough to get your head around, but it's the speed that is really mind-blowing. The runners have to reach the postbox in under 60 hours to be considered a finisher, or under 72 hours to be considered a survivor. It took 6 years before there were any finishers, and since there's only been a total of 16. To put that in context, to have a hope of finishing, they have to run the 100-kilometer MacLehose in at least 15 to 16 hours. The last winning women's team of the Oxfam Trail Walker, the annual race that goes the whole way along the MacLehose Trail, finished in 15 hours and 1 minute. Try that without any checkpoints or support, and then a subsequent 198 kilometers. So what's the name of this insane run? It's the Hong Kong Four Trails Ultra Challenge. The organizer, Andre, is at pains to point out that it's not a race. It's a personal challenge. There's no prizes, winners or losers. There's not even an entry fee. All you need to enter is to submit an essay detailing your motivations and hope you're admitted. But this year, it's a little different. To mark the 10-year anniversary, only former finishers and survivors have been invited back. There were just 18 returnees, though there would have been more if runners had been able to travel in from overseas. Today, we're talking to Hyun Chang Chung, a finisher from 2020. He reached the postbox in 59 hours and 46 minutes, the narrowest margin of any finisher. The chilled-out Korean-South American runner has elected to return to better his time. Today, we're hearing about what's behind the desire to put himself through it all over again. Welcome, Hyun Chang Chung. I hope I got your name right.
Yeah.
We were going over pronunciations before because you're from all over, from South America, from Korea. But the reason you're here today is because you're one of only 16 people who have finished the Hong Kong Four Trails. Do you know so few people had finished it?
I didn't know it was 16. That was last year, right?
Yeah, as of last year.
Yes. Actually, I think it is the year with most finishers, right?
And you, of all of the people who've ever finished, you're the person who's finished with the narrowest margin.
I know. So this is what I'm telling my friends. I'm the slowest finisher, or at least I got a record. Like, you know.
Well, I think up until somebody else finishes, you're the most recent finisher. If you're last year's slowest.
Yeah. You're right.
What was your time?
59:46, I think.
59 hours and 46 seconds.
Yeah, just 14 minutes short.
14 minutes?
14 minutes.
Oh, okay.
1-4.
Wow, that is close. When you were coming down sunset. Most people sort of get to enjoy years of work finally coming to fruition. They jog down, they kiss the post box. You must have been quite panicked.
I was super panicked. When I was at sunset, I was climbing down as fast as I could, of course. So I couldn't have the chance to enjoy that last bit, and I was really pushing hard to the point that I stumbled the steps to get down to Nam Shan as quickly as possible. And then when I got there in the flat on the road, I tried to sprint as hard as I could. Yeah.
What did that feel like? After 298 kilometers, you had to push in the last.
I think when I got to the road, I already knew I was going to make it, and I just had to. Probably I could have gone a bit slower, but you are so excited, the ecstasies, adrenaline, about so many emotions come all merge in one moment. I think it's exhilarating, right? That kind of feeling.
Did you expect to be that emotional on the finish?
Yes, I think it's gonna be super special because of such a hardship but then it is not real until you go through it, right? So, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think the rest of us can even relate to it. You always say
it's like I think it's exponentially. Times 1,000, whatever you do races and you're super happy about finishing it, but this is like beyond imagination kind of thing.
Yeah, it's not just 3 times 100 kilometer race.
Yeah,
it's 100 times 100 kilometer race.
Yeah.
So then at what point, I mean, if I'd said to you on the finish line, you're going to do this again in 12 months time, would you have said, oh, you're crazy? Or would you have said, where do I sign?
You're crazy. Yes. Very likely, to the point that I think as I was finishing, I said, I'm not doing this again. But that kind of feeling, I think everyone gets it, no? When it's so painful and you're cursing yourself for doing such kind of race, and you're telling yourself, why the fuck am I doing this? I'm not going to do this again. That kind of thought is always there, and as you cross, you say, "I'm done. I don't have to do this anymore." Right? And you never learn the lesson because you've done so many of these. Especially, I do many 100-mile races or events, and then the next day you're already jumping, excited about when it's going to be the next event.
Yeah, trail runners have a very, very short memory.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
But were you cursing yourself in the middle of it as well? Is it just at the end, I can't believe I did that? Or is there a point that you enjoy it?
I think most of the course you're cursing, especially the second half. I enjoyed the Mac and a little bit on the Wilson. As I like running with rain, and when it's cold weather and with rain, I think I kind of like it. It's a good feeling. And like some people, they want the perfect weather kind of thing. For me, if the more challenging the weather, kind of you enjoy more. So Mac and Wilson, I was quite doing okay, but the second half, the Hong Kong Trail, and much of the Lantau Trail, I was coursing a lot, the usual, what I say. I don't know if I can swear here,
I think that horse is bolted.
Yes, F this, F that. Why the F I'm doing this? And, yeah. The usual.
That's good that you're so honest, a lot of the other people you speak to, they maybe their memory is even worse than yours. They focus on how it was a transcendent experience and they were in touch with nature, but you're really quite honest with yourself about the fact that it's deeply painful.
It is. It is super painful. And thinking, and maybe that's, your own way to handle pain, right? I would think. No, I don't enjoy it. It's not. It's like there are people that say, "Oh, yeah," like what you say. You get to find yourself and you connect with nature, and maybe you do go through those feelings. But I have to. For me, most of the time it's super painful.
Who's forcing you to do it then?
Exactly. Nobody's forcing me to do this, and my wife will tell you. Because usually, you finish these things and you come home destroyed, and you are expecting a bit of love and a bit of care from your wife and your family and a bit of pampering, and they give zero importance when you get back home all destroyed. And then if you ask her, it's like, yeah, nobody told you to go and do this. So what do you expect me to do? Right? That harsh she is.
That's good. Yeah, that sounds similar to my fiance. She doesn't give me any sympathy.
Yeah, exactly. No sympathy. That's the right expression in English. Yes.
But then it's not just as simple as like why. Like that's the annoying question that people get asked. Why are you doing this? But given you don't enjoy it, why are you doing it?
No, because at the end, sometimes pain can be enjoyed, right?
Yeah. Have you ever heard the expression "type 2 fun"?
No, no, never.
It sounds like
that.
what you're expecting. There's type 1 fun, which is fun.
Yeah.
Hanging out with friends, going to parties, hanging out in bars. That's obviously fun. Then there's type 2 fun, which is slightly harder to explain, the sort of fun that you get from cold mountains and suffering and 298-kilometer races. So maybe, type 2 fun.
Maybe that, I guess that I'm that type of fan. No, but I think more than that is the sense of accomplishment. When you manage to finish one of these challenges, whatever distance, and the feeling that you get, I think I do it, one, because you disconnect from work, from stress, from whatever. And then you have a lot of time to think, because most of the time you're on your own. And then when you finally cross the finish line, the sense of accomplishment, because this is something that you did, you're only depending on you, and of course, there's a lot of support and your family helping you, and but at the end you cross the line. That sense of accomplishment is, I think, very, very unique.
Do you think about the same kind of things every time you do a 100-mile run or a 100K run or the Four Trails, or do you find yourself thinking about different things and having unique experiences each time?
I'm not sure about you. Yes, I guess many times I end up thinking about the same things over and over. But you do, I can share, I do a review pretty much of your whole life, especially in these long distance events. You think about, how you ended up here, how you especially your background, where you started. And you also think about decisions. What if you hadn't taken this decision or not? And many times you also get pretty sentimental, particularly me, and sometimes I even cry, like while running, like an idiot, because you're thinking about some whatever life event or circumstance that you had to go through, and you also even some tears come out. Yeah.
That's amazing. And have you ever ended up making a big life decision on the back of a run? Reflected and thought, I made the wrong choice, let's change it?
Not while doing the event or running, but probably it helped support the decision that you did. I won't have taken the decision while running, but then you're thinking about all the different things that it might support whatever decision you took. For example, when I quit my job in the US to come to Hong Kong, you go for runs and then you find reasons why you are doing this, right?
Yeah. Running is suddenly becomes like a tool for your whole life decisions. A decision that I'm sure you'll be regretting 298 kilometers in now. So this year, do you feel a bit of pressure? I mean, one of the finishes, you got to go back and finish again. Does that matter to you?
Not external pressure, but personally, you have your own pressure to do it. You have to finish it, right? I guess. I'm not sure if I think all the runners will have similar kind of pressure. A little bit, because I want to show myself that I can do this again, but not from external. Like, it's not nobody, because people are expecting me to finish or anything like that. You want to be able to see that the first time you did it, it wasn't by chance. And I think I was sharing with you over the phone or somebody. I like, when possible, try to do the same event twice to see if I can beat myself. Yeah.
So given this one is not, the organizers go a painstaking out of their way to make sure that people don't think of it as a race. It's an event. So with that in mind, you could finish and have the same time, or you could be 5 minutes slower. You couldn't be much slower if you wanted to finish, but 15 minutes. But does it matter?
15 minutes slower.
But does it matter if you're faster? Have you got a time in mind, basically, this year?
Yes, because the first time I missed the 3 a.m. ferry by about 20 minutes, I think, roughly. And I know I could have gotten to the peak earlier to catch the 3 a.m. ferry. So that's my real kind of objective too. And I know where I can fine-tune to recover those 20 minutes, not necessarily by running faster, but with the transition and some problems, some glitch I had with my GPS watch when I was starting the Wilson Trail. So if I fix or avoid those small things, I think I can manage to gain at least 30-40 minutes surely. And then this time I think I know better the trails, because I'm very disorganized and very I don't prepare myself. Like, I have to go and do the recce. I did the recce of Wilson Trail for the first time, but I'm not like going and memorizing, this is where I have to speed up, this is where I can slow down. So I'm not so organized in that sense. So the first time I just showed up and I did it. So now, this time I know the trails better. Actually, I've done Lantau, I've done Wilson, I've done Hong Kong Trail twice, reverse and back. So I know what to expect better. And I think that gives me better, idea on where I can probably push a little bit more or take it easy, that kind of thing. That might also help me save some minutes. And I also feel better prepared as well physically, although there hasn't been any races to compete. I haven't stopped training my usual training load.
You're disorganized. Is that something? Are you disorganized in all of your life, or is it just in running you find it difficult?
Pretty
much. So yeah, it sounds like quite low-hanging fruit to improve on. You don't have to be much fitter if you just sort out
Yes, exactly. That is a low-hanging fruit kind of thing. Because 2 points that I can save time in the first transition, and the time I lost trying to fix my watch. That's already easy, right? So I just need to do the same thing, and I know if I do that, I can already catch the 3 a.m. ferry in theory. If I don't have any injury or an accident, and also the weather, the variable of the weather is important also, right?
Yeah, the weather could make a massive difference.
Yeah, massive difference. We were all lucky last year to have a cool weather. That you need less water. At the end of the Lantau Trail, it was so windy that it kind of dried out all the wetness on the rocks that allow me to go super fast. Well, at that point, fast enough, Lantau Peak and Sunset Peak without getting slippery, Yeah.
It's funny because there's such like a range of personalities and traits. You say that you're super disorganized, and then on the other end of the spectrum, you've got somebody like Solomon who knows what he's going to eat every kilometer and how fast he's going to go at every minute. But do you think there's something that's common among all of the people who've finished or survived?
Yes, you're right. So there are different personalities and different traits, and probably you got to the point. Solomon, I know him a little bit from we are in the same running team, and we are friends. And I know because I follow him on Strava. The guy is super methodical. You can see his training, super, to the dot. And I think he's planning to every second of what he's gonna do, and I'm probably the total opposite. But I think to your question, the commonality I can see from everyone doing this is the commitment. The commitment to get it done. Right? You're so.
How does that commitment manifest itself? Does it just in terms of training?
I think not necessarily in terms of training, because some people will do more training or less, but showing up and finishing. Look at the story from Sarah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's fucking. She's super committed, right? I think I really have her high in my standards, because when I heard the story about her missing the ferry and taking the wrong ferry to. Was it to Lama?
We went to Peng Chau.
To Peng Chau, wherever. That blows your mind. I would have quit right then and there.
And she just laughed it off.
Yeah. I would so the things like that. So people are super committed. They want to get to the finish line. Yes, I think that's one common trait between all the runners.
But I heard you speak a little bit before when we chatted previously that it's more than just a mental or a challenge. Being committed isn't enough. Some people actually couldn't do this. Physically, you got to move fast. You got to be fit.
Yes. The physical aspect of course is there. But then, this is not. You can have super fit guys trying to do this, but that's not enough. So I guess that's the other thing. Mentally. People and that's why commitment is so important, because mentally you're so committed to it that you want to reach to the finish. You want to cross the finish line and kiss the green box. Your mind kind of has to be super strong. That will make you forget your pain, and even you're feeling it, you just go through and keep pushing and pushing until you make it.
Would you say you've always been sort of mentally strong? If I met you when you were 16, would it be obvious that you'd turn into this mentally strong person?
Probably no.
No.
Yeah.
What happened?
Life, I think. I don't know. I think you in a way, I think you have to have it, right? I guess throughout your life you discover this power you have, if you can call it a power, being able to endure so much pain for so long, right? And it depends on everyone's life circumstances. That some people will get it easier, and some people, they have to try to go through it and go through the pain and get it done, right? Yeah.
Can you think of a particular race or circumstance where you discovered that mental strength?
Yes, I'm not sure if I discovered that I had a mental strength, but I discovered that I didn't have at that time. And so my first 100-mile attempt was in Spain in year 2012, I think. And I was coming very kind of cocky, if I have to say, because I was coming from doing the Hong Kong 100. I did the first edition in almost under 16 hours. And then the second edition, the year after, I did it in 12:40 something. So, I was like, wow, I can do this, right? And in just 1 year with not much training, back then I didn't train as much as I'm training now. That it boosts your morale. It's normal, right? I think. I think it's common to everyone. Suddenly from 16 hours to 12:40, I was super. And then from there, I went to Spain. I signed up to this 100-mile race. It's called the Eumiliac, which means 100 miles in Euskera, which is the Basque language. And I went all, super. I'm gonna be able to crack this on. So I did a typical mistake of starting fast, following some fast runner, trying to show off kind of thing. And then at kilometer 60, I was so destroyed. And I continued up to 120K, and I just gave up there. But at kilometer 60, I already knew I wasn't going to finish. And that's when I got this, when you hit your head against the wall, you learn your lesson, and you learn, the mountain teach you a lesson, to be humble, and So I think that's when I discovered that you have to be more stronger mentally, and
Do you do anything to work on your mental strength, or does it just come through training and more races each time it sharpens it?
I think it sharpens with more races, and also trying to without no specific goal in mind, the commitment to the training that you want to. Because I wanted to be a little bit better here and there, and as part of that thinking, I said I have to train more, and I would try to find every opportunity I can to train. And having a family is difficult, and many times I would go training. I tried training early in the morning, like 5, 6 in the morning. It doesn't work for me because then I go to work and I kind of feel sleepy. And for me, it works better to train later. So many times I train at 11 in the evening, late, or even when it's raining, I'll still go out. That kind of, I think that those little things are what sharpens your mental strength. There are lightning and raining and super windy, super bad weather, and you still go out and train. I think that's what it does. For example, when I was in New York, I used to do every 2 weeks I will do a work to home. This was my long session. I used to work in Manhattan in near the Grand Central Station, Midtown, and then my home was at 30 kilometers up north in the suburbs. It's exactly 30K, and that once every 2 weeks I would run from my work office to home, and you have to go through the Bronx and all that. And even in winter with below 20 degrees, I would still go. Try to, minus 20 is super bloody freezing, and I would still go out and do it. Because I said I have to do this, so you keep your training. Because the moment you find excuses, that's where you lose it. You can always find some excuse here and there. Oh, I'm tired today. I have this early meeting tomorrow. It's raining. It's snowing, and this is something that I try to avoid or try to overcome. Let's say.
Yeah, accepting excuses becomes a habit.
Exactly. So I think this is for me. Your mind gets you get stronger mentally because you overcome these day-to-day excuses not to do something, and then you're ready.
So one excuse that might come up is, I've done this before, I have nothing to prove to myself. I asked you this the other day. No finisher has ever finished twice. Why do you think that is? Have you had a chance to think about it yet?
Yeah, well, first, I didn't know about this. Now that you planted that seed,
I'm sure a finisher will finish twice this year. But
yeah, sure.
They see it, but yeah.
Yeah,
but
with so many finishers coming, come on.
Yeah, statistically,
I'm sure
somebody's going to do it.
Somebody's going to do it, right? Why could, as I was trying to tell you, I think it could be because when you get to the point of, the pain process, you might say, okay, I've already done this once, why bother? And it's so easy to give up. And it's so, it kind of frees you up when you say, okay, when you take the decision, okay, I'm not going to do this, and you feel, you have a huge weight off your back, right? And carrying all that weight until to the finish line, it doesn't mean you are less stronger or, at the end of the day. Maybe that's why, I don't know, because they don't have anything to prove. But at the same time, it can also be a motivator, because, which is, I think, in my case, I think because I've done once, I have to prove myself that I can do it the second time. So that can give you an extra push to even navigate through the pain and get it done.
Will you be disappointed then if you survived and didn't finish?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
That like literally.
I mean, nothing wrong with being a survivor, please.
Yeah, but you're.
Yeah, but you've been a finisher and then you're a survivor now. It's like, well, unless something really bad happens. Yeah, but
Yeah.
I'll be honest. You'll be disappointed, right? Why lie yourself, right?
So you were talking,
and then you can find so many excuses. This time I couldn't do this.
Yeah, it was hot.
It was hot. This, come on,
yeah.
Whatever you want to pump.
At the beginning, you were talking sort of about how it was exponentially more emotional to finish this one than finish, say, a 100-mile race. Do you think that's just the nature of the fact that it's 298 kilometers long, or is there something special about the Hong Kong Four Trails?
I think it's everything. It's the distance, the type of challenge, and also all the people around, especially my family. Going through the journey with you, and this is 3 days. It means a lot. We could have gone on holidays to Phuket. I think that could have been our last trip since the pandemic, right? So my family also gave up on a trip. So it means a lot, right? So you better get it done, and then the distance, the type of challenge, the fact that it's self-supported, and all your family following you and your friends, and because of that, it makes it more special when you cross the finish line. And it also because everything that it involves, right? Yeah.
So you spend most of the time out on the trails by yourself during the Hong Kong Four Trails, but do you think, despite being by yourself, it will still feel different this year because of the 10-year anniversary?
This year will feel definitely more special, right? Because not everyone is going to be doing this for a second time with previous finishers. Yeah.
Yeah. And then what do you think will feel different about it? How will you feel different when you're, say, by yourself 50K in, but knowing everybody else is around you who's already finished and has done it in the past? How will you feel different?
Because the event itself is different. Yeah. So, you're part of this special group, right? Although you're on your own, I think you're part of this special group of people now, right? That you're not gonna have this togetherness again for the next 10 years, right?
Yeah. Do you think that's particularly You'll feel that particularly strongly this year because it's such weird times. You were talking about nobody can travel, nobody can go anywhere, and then suddenly you've got this community within a community in the strangest of times. Do you think that would exaggerate the feeling?
No, not necessarily. But I think everyone is coming more prepared too, because of the pandemic now. Everyone is doing their own personal challenges, and I was sharing this with Ben and Robin the other day. One thing that is coming out of this pandemic is not only the Hong Kong for trail runners, but people trail runners in general, or whatever. They are all coming out stronger because they are finding out that everyone is doing these virtual races unsupported because there are no aid stations, for example, right? And now people are going out and doing these crazy distances, 50K, 100K, whatever, on their own, and they're discovering that they don't need an aid station, right? And all of us have been doing many of these recce's or virtual challenges or as part of the training, getting more and more unsupported trainings or events that now is kind of common. People go out, do 50K without thinking, I don't have somebody waiting for me to pass me a bottle of water or nutrition here and there. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, well, here's my final question. What are you looking forward to most, and what are you looking forward to least?
I'm already looking forward to be done. Because that's the best, that's the best moment when you cross the event.
Do you have like a treat in mind? When I finish, we're going to go out for dinner and drink, or is it just a case of going to bed?
I think just a case to going to bed. Probably get some deep tissue massage and get a good shower at home. The least that I expect, probably not having to climb the steps after finishing. I live on a 4th story and there are no lift. Yeah.
Well, all you listening in, thank you very much for taking the time. But you can also tune in after the 4 trails where we'll be talking to Chang again to find out how it went. Hopefully you finished, smashed your own record and had an absolutely fantastic time. Although I'm sure your legs will be absolutely shot by the time we actually speak. Thank you for taking the time to tune in and listen to Chang's story. We wish him the best of luck when he takes on the 4 trails. Tune in for part 2, where we'll be interviewing him after he's finished and also getting some sound bites from him in the midst of his epic journey. If you're interested in finding out more about the 4 trails, we've done a lot of stories on other runners who are embarking on their own personal challenge, whether that is to break 50, finish for a second time, survive yet again, or just inspire others to get out on the trail. Then check out SCMP.com, sport and outdoor section for those awesome stories about those incredible runners. See you for part 2 once Chang's completed his 298-kilometer epic.
For more podcasts from the South China Morning Post, head to SCMP.com, where you can hear more about technology, trade, culture, and society.